Hello everyone. Welcome on behalf of Friends of ECMO Coimbatore chapter. Uh, a bit about me. I'm Kishore. I'm a product designer working at Covai.co. So, I'm designing experiences and interfaces for enterprise and B2B SaaS applications. Uh, so, let's get started. So, today we are going to have a session on designing for AR. AR is like everyone know augmented reality. So it has the power to take you anywhere, let you experience as if you are there. As we are designing for new medium, we have its own challenges, and it's a whole new world for designers. So today we have Siddharth with us. Siddharth is a senior user experience consultant at ThoughtWorks. So he has around 8+ years of experience working with startups, organizations, accelerators, and global software consultancies. So currently he's working for currently designing experiences for Spatial World, that is for XR and um, artificial intelligence and augmented reality. So let's get started. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Kishore. Yeah, before we get,
Yeah.
I would like to know. I see like people there. So if like, what's your experience with AR? Like, it would be helpful for me to uh, proceed with like, what should I talk and how deep can I go? If attendees can just ping on the chat, like if XR is, AR is new to you, have you heard about it, or you just joined here because you would like to know more about it, or you currently working with AR? It would be helpful. Okay. Yeah, Nitin said it's new to him. Okay, let me get started. So yeah, as Kishore said, like my name is Siddharth. Um, if you have any feedback or any comments, if you want to connect to me in like future, like you want to know more, you can DM me on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. And also, like most of the ideas or conversations or discussion which we are going to have for the next 30 or 45 minutes. You can find more details on those topics in my blog. You can go to my blog at siddharth.design. So with that, let me get started. So this session is divided into like three halves. One is like why, how, and what of AR. I would like to read anything in this manner, so it's very easy for us to understand, or also it's very easy to convey to people. So with that, first for the first 15 minutes, we will see like why AR makes sense as a medium currently, and then we will go into like how to get ready for this new medium as a designer mostly. I'll talk a little bit about development, but as a designer, I can share more on the designing part. And for the last 15 minutes, I'll share like what are the different resources available for you to get started. And also, I try to put a prototype with using Figma for a mobile AR application. This is the first time even I'm doing that. So I will also show you a demo of that so that you can go ahead and then get started with it. Designing from Figma and then prototyping it on your, seeing real AR prototype on your phone. So let's move ahead. One, when we see augmented reality as a technology itself, right? Like why it makes sense. Is it like any other technology? Like why AR makes sense currently? So as humans, we have evolved over like a period of time, and then we invented computers, which changed our lives. I would say like after the invention of fire, the invention of computer has drastically changed the way we live, we work, and even during this pandemic and COVID, just imagine a world without computers and internet and network. I think after fire, like computer has made a larger amount of impact. And also, I like man didn't invent fire, right? Like man invented the way to control it. That's how I see AR and other like extended reality technologies as. We invented computer, but right from the beginning, if you see from the punch cards, keyboard, mouse, touchpad, and all the things, if you put a percentage between humans and machines, always machines had an advantage over humans. We were making ourselves forcefully, or um, maybe in a way we well lean towards like working for the machines rather than like machines working for us. For example, punch cards, humans cannot understand punch card. Slowly, like over the period of time, at every interval, the input mechanism itself has went through a drastic change, becoming more and more human. For example, if you take Hey Google or Hey Siri, now you are able to converse with your machines. Similarly, uh, so far we were all been looking at the computer in a rectangular format. We when we think of about computer, like maybe it's a mobile phone or tablet, anything, it's within that rectangle. But going forward, like augmented reality will change the way we see and interact with computers, and also like how computers interact with us back. You might have heard about like Neuralink and other things which is coming in the future, where even we can, if we think, the computers would be able to understand us. So that's where we are going, and AR will play a vital role in this evolution. And also, if you take the growth of data, right? In 2009, we were about producing about like zero point 0.8 zettabyte of data, like 10 years. Currently, in 2020, we are producing around 35 zettabytes of data. You can see the change of volume, right? We will be able not able to read all the data. For sure, we need like AI and machine learning algorithms to process those data and give it to us like contextually. Even there, like AR will make a lot of sense, because to present an information to you contextually. For example, if you are going in your car, or if you are in a different place, like you will not be able to carry all your computing devices, right? For example, you cannot carry your laptop with you always. If you need your hands to be free, you need the data to be contextual, and also it should be presented in a way which is not disrupting. It should be part of yourself. So that's where AR is very much helpful. And the next one is AR a new technology? No. The initial work of AR started in 1968. It's sort of like a 53 years of research and evolution. Currently, we are in this state. Uh, So why it took like 53 years, and why AR makes sense currently at 2020 and 2021 and 2022? The So one, the advancement in the display technology. The other one, like the advancement in processor. You might have seen Apple's new A11 and M11, M14 processors, where it combines like trillions of operations per second, and also it has like neural engine built within it, and also it has like powerful GPU. So currently, we are able to reproduce the quality of graphics and everything in more natural and immersive way. That's why AR is currently taking shape. Before that, we didn't had this sort of a technology. It was very complicated to even like manufacture things in sort of like AR. But now like the processors have become very very small. The optic engines have become very very small. The form factor has become so convenient that it has become currently the AR glasses are available like your sunglasses, which you can wear. And what is the future for AR? We saw like currently it's in the form factor of sunglasses. Even then, we know like it's a glass, right? There's a little bit of complexity. You have wires and things. You have to connect it to a computational device, etc. But already there are companies started working on AR technology or optical engine for AR, which is in the form factor of your lenses. Like you can just put the lenses on your eyes. There is no other external wearable which is needed for experiencing augmented reality experiences. That would be the future, but already the works have started. We might even see it in like next 5 or 10 years down the line. So the other important factor, personally, I see where AR makes sense is like at least currently, you might have seen the expansion of content platforms and the number of contents being produced. And also, even in your home, you can take this as an example. Like, do you sit and watch everybody watch together in the same program? No, like everybody have their own preferences, right? Different age group have different sort of program watching behavior. Previously, there were like very limited number of channels and limited number of content also. I remember like watching in HBO the same movie like for the whole week. It will be even the schedule will not change. Like the same movies will be played every time. But now, if you open Netflix or Amazon Prime, anything, you have like lots and lots and volume of content, and also people are expecting personalized experiences, right? And also we have like very limited number of resources. For example, if you take a family of five, we cannot produce digital displays uh, for different purposes. Like we cannot slap screens like everything nowadays. Like everything is becoming smarter. For example, your TV, your fridge, your microwave oven, everything is becoming smarter. We cannot have displays on everything. Again, it's like it consumes a lot of resources. Already we are in the verge of depleting lot many resources. We don't know like how to handle e-waste properly. That is becoming a huge global problems, etc. I see AR as sort of a way it will solve some of these issues. I'm not saying it will solve those issues completely, but just imagine like you using the same glasses for different purposes. You can use the same glasses like to work, and also you can use the same glasses to watch a movie, sort of like an IMAX experience. And also it's personalized. The privacy also comes along with it, and also it's very flexible. For example, you can look at your TV and then you can just replace your TV with this AR glasses. If you go to your fridge, if you want to see the content, AR glasses can just augment on top of it and then show it, like rather than having displays on everything. And also like power consumption, like just imagine like powering thousands of displays for a single use rather than like just powering one display. So it's sort of like sustainable in a way also. That's how I personally see things as. And I sort of put forth this discussion about like why AR and why AR now, right? Like going forward, we will also see how the real world and the digital world is also coming closer together. The line between the physical world and digital world are like very much blurring now. For example, if you take the last example to the left, right, towards the real end, it's Google Maps with AR enabled. If you see like the digital informations are being displayed on the real world. Similarly, if you take towards the right end, you might have seen Google Lens, right? You might also used Snapchat filters, etc., wherein the computer is able to understand the real world through this AR lenses and filters, etc. So the computer is able to talk to us, and also the computer is able to understand the world, the real world around us. Um, and also like you can see like the mixture of like different sort of these technologies along the continuum. For example, translation. Like we have said, like the world is shrinking. The world is a single place, right? Like that's how we feel, at least like with the inventor of internet and other things. We no more see like distance as a factor itself. Just imagine India, like a country wherein we have like very diverse set of population, and we have different sort of languages and etc. Just imagine like all the boards. If we want to be very inclusive, we cannot write all the boards in all different languages of Indian subcontinent, because it will need a lot of resources. But AR can help in a way that like live translations. You might have seen again this on the Google Lens, where you are able to just point your phone towards like one of the language which you don't know. Like you can just convert those menu or signboards or anything into a different language. Similarly, you are able to, in education, like AR is playing a important role, wherein we were not able to bring real world or like the real experiment to every places, right? Again, we are limited with resources. For example, rural areas and places where we don't have enough resources, wherein this AR can help people to bring in 3D objects and different things. And also you might have seen during this pandemic, like many school teachers used AR as a platform for teaching online. So again, all this has already started, and now it's time to like utilize it and then monetize it, or uh, design experiences with the AR as a medium. Okay, so we saw like why AR is important so far. Like going forward, I will move to the second slot of the topic itself. So how to get started, like what you should know before getting started with AR. So one of the main difference which you should know is like there are different types of extended realities. You might have heard about like augmented reality, virtual reality. There is something called mixed reality. So you should know like what is what, because each and everything has its own advantage, and also it comes with its own sort of cons also. For example, like augmented reality, if you want to enhance certain experiences, then augmented reality is the way you have to go. If you want to like replace something, or you have to like escape to a different world, then virtual reality is the platform. So augmented reality is nothing but when you bring a digital content to the real world, and then up and on top of the real world, then it's called like augmented reality. Wherein in virtual reality, you are being transported into a different world. You might have seen Oculus games, etc., wherein you put a headset and then you are being transported to a different world. You don't know like what's happening around you. And then there is something called mixed reality, which sort of merges the beneficiaries of both this world. So what mixed reality does is it understands your world around you, and also it appends information on top of it, and also it reacts to the world. For example, if you're putting a augmented or the digital content into the real world, if there is a chair, it understands it's a chair, and then you will see like occlusion and other things. For example, in real world, if you put one object behind the other one, you will not see the object which is behind through your eyes. There's a occlusion happening, right? Like so, you can see only half of the object which is behind. There is something hidden in the back of the other object. So those experiences like which makes immersion like more is being used in mixed reality. So yeah, so one of the main learning you should like spend at least like some time is to clearly understand like what is augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. There are like different ways, since it's an evolving market and a segment, different people say it in a different way, but you should be at least very clear with this understanding on your own, because each company uses these terms interchangeably, and there is a lot of confusion around, but you should like experience these things to have a clear understanding before getting started with any one of these extended reality platforms. And the next one is like knowing your devices. There are a lot of upcoming devices. There are like hundreds and hundreds of AR, VR devices coming out in the market. So you should know like what the device is. Like first, you should know like whether it's an AR device or MR device or a VR device, and then also each device has its own capabilities. Since each device consists of different sensors and different processing and mechanism units, each has its own capability. You should know like what the device is capable of, and then you should start designing for it. Like same, you cannot design in the same way for each and every one of the device. Each have their own sort of limitations. You should know the limitations when you are designing for. Um, for example, like mobile phones come up with AR engines like ARKit or AR Core, but currently, like most of the phones don't have the spatial awareness sort of thing. But if you take iPhone, they have something called lidar sensor to it, which helps us to understand the real world. The output is like little more better than the engines, because since there is a lidar sensor in the latest like iPhones and iPads, you will be able to build something which is more powerful when compared to these ordinary phones with just the engines alone. Then there are this glass uh, displays or sunglass type of AR glasses, which are in the market. Which they have their own it's sort of like a beginner or like a devices wherein it doesn't have like as much power as like a HoloLens or Magic Leap, etc. But they will be able to perform a lot more better than the AR on phones and iPads, because these glasses have cameras, spatial cameras, which will help us to understand the world better. Even they come up with eye tracking, etc. So it will help us to experience it like a lot more better. And then there are these devices like HoloLens and Magic Leap, which are currently more of a like enterprise grade devices, which comes in packed with like lot more sensors, which is like a little more sophisticated when compared to the sunglass type of consumer based devices which is currently available in the market. And then there is like virtual reality devices like Oculus Quest, Vajra, etc., which is totally taking you to a virtual world. Like you should know like whether it's a VR or AR device mainly before you start designing for things. And also now people like there are more devices which is trying to sort of bridge this gap. At least in future, I think most of the devices will be a mixed reality devices, which will be able to perform both AR and VR. Then we will need to like little more careful like on what experience we are designing for and what is the capability of that device. And also the next thing which you need to know, like one, we know like what AR, VR, and MR is, and then we know like what device which we are designing or developing for, and then we should know like different types of different forms of AR. For example, if you take the first one, it's a projection based AR where you are not required to wear any glasses or to see through your phone. You can use projectors to project augmented content into the real world. The example which is shown on the left is in one of the airport where they are for onboarding they have used this projection mechanism where the seats numbers or rows are displayed on the floor, and also like they have the social distance and other things also in place, so people will be able to board into the flights without the hassle of getting rushed to it, and you don't know like where you want to stand and how you want to stand. It sort of like increases the in-flight or like onboarding experience. The next one is like a marker-based AR. Marker-based AR is nothing but when the AR program on your phone recognizes certain images or objects around you, and then it triggers the content to overlay on top of it. You might have seen this in newspaper advertisements, etc., wherein they will ask you to install an application and then scan the poster or the advertisement on the phone, and then augmented video or a 3D object comes into place. The next one is a superimposition based AR. Again, this is more of a cross combination between LiDAR and the projection, wherein you will be able to project content onto surfaces which you define. In projection AR, you are just projecting to the surface, but here you'll be able to superimpose on top of objects. For example, if you have a shoe showroom, you cannot like bring in all the colors and varieties of shoes, right? So you can keep just one shoe, and then you can superimpose AR materials on top of that shoe, so that your customers will be able to experience it in different variants and colors, etc. So, and the last one is like location based AR. I think most of you will be familiar with this. You might have played Pokemon Go, right? That is one of the example for location based AR, wherein you bring in this contents based upon geolocation. Even Google Maps is sort of like a location based AR. We will be seeing this in future a lot, wherein your real world will have like a lot of surprises uh, with this sort of a technology, wherein you wear a glass and then you will be able to see what offer is running in a store, or if you want to bring in like a unique experience for each and every customer, this location based AR would be helpful. And yeah, and now we know like what AR. I'm just like repeating because we don't lose track of like whatever we learned now. So first we have to know like what the difference between AR, VR, and MR, and then we have to know like the difference between the devices, and then we should decide upon like what form factor which we are choosing for AR. Should the user wear a glasses? Are we going for projection based, etc.? And the fourth one is like how do the users interact with this holograms or thing? For example, sometimes you don't need a user to interact with these holograms. It's more computer. For example, if you see the first example of that airport onboarding flow, right, wherein the user doesn't need to do anything there, but there are like other places where you will be needing the user to interact with it. For example, if you want to like play a video, you have to like pause it, stop it, etc. If you want to open a map, or if you want to like make a call or anything, right, then you will be expecting the users to make certain actions or interaction with it. So currently, most of the AR devices support all these four things, and also like each device will come with own limitations. For example, certain devices will support only gaze and controllers. Certain devices will support hand gestures, voice, etc. Like when you are fixing on your like what device you are designing for or developing for, then you have to be careful like what that device supports. So when we take like gaze-based interaction is nothing but the cursor is attached to your head. So wherever you are looking, the cursor will also move, and then you will be able to interact with the objects on the or the augmented objects through just by turning your head and then gazing it. For example, if you want to select something, you gaze it a little bit longer, then the selection happens. That's the first example which is shown there. And the next one is controller-based interactions. For example, if you remember, like when I show the Oculus Quest, there were two controllers for left and right arm. So that's how we interact with Oculus. Currently, like Oculus also is supporting like hand gestures and voice also, but the primary control for Oculus is the controllers, and the third one is hand gestures. So hand gestures is much more natural and also like immersive when compared to other factors, but also it has its own limitations. For example, if you are using the hand gesture for long time, then you'll have like a factor called like gorilla arm fatigue. You'll have like pain in your hands. So like each all these interactions have their own benefits and also have their own negatives also. So you should be, when you're designing for an experience, you should know like how long like a user is going to use it, like what is the interaction which he needs. For example, does his hands need to be free, or can he use his hands, etc. And the fourth one, and the most prominent or like advanced sort of things, like voice interaction. Since like already Android and Apple phones and even Microsoft have their own voice engines, this is a little bit advanced when compared to hand gestures. Hand gestures is also coming up, like, but the device needs like little more sophistication when compared to like other interaction mechanisms. So now we know like what AR VR is, and like different types of devices and form factors and different ways to interact with it. Sorry, one second. Okay. Then there are like certain terms which is like very specific to this extended reality platform. So we should know those things also. So one of the important term is field of view. Field of view is nothing but like each devices come with their own field of view limitations. Currently, this is one of the interesting area in research which all the AR glass manufacturers and technology people are like working on. So currently, like the maximum feel like for instance, like last month this company called Cura released or like showed their glasses. They sort of say it's 150 degree of field of view. I haven't seen it, but the maximum with HoloLens and other things like 52 degree of field of view. The humans will be able to see like 120 degree of field of view. That's the humans field of view is. So field of view is nothing but like what you are able to see in front of your eyes uh, at a time. So these devices, since there is limitations with this projection technology or like optical engines, we will be able to see only like 52 degree of field of view. So you will have something called window door effect, wherein you might have seen this. For example, even if you take the example on the left, right, when you consume an augmented reality content through your phone, you will be able to see only like what is visible inside the phone. You will be able not be able to see the complete size of the sofa itself. Either you will be able to see the center of the sofa, or if you move your phone to the left or right, you will be able to see that portion alone. So because like a phone has like a very limited field of view, but this the glasses have like a little more advanced or like wider field of view when compared to the phones. That's where the immersion also sort of increases. So this is very important to know, because like with this only you'll be like designing the sizes of the experiences. It also like affects the immersion in a very much factor, because if you see a car and then if you see only the tire, right, you will not be able to experience the car completely. um, Again, as I said earlier, like companies are working very very hard on this sport, and I think we will be able to achieve like a larger field of view soon. But currently the standard or like the average field of view which these devices are coming is around like 40 to 50 uh, degrees. And we understood the technology and we understood like what the devices hardware, etc. When it comes to AR, it's like even for other mediums it's very important to consider human anatomy, but with AR it's much much more important, because what we are trying to do here is like to bring computer to the humans world rather than like taking humans to the computer world. So we should know the limitations of human body. Like as I said earlier, the humans have the field of view of 120 degrees. With that, like they are able to focus, or like the center of focus is only for 50 degrees. And then when I close my eyes, if I have any problem with my eyesight, then this experience sort of like varies a lot. And also I have like my own controls, like I can move my neck around and I can move left and right. again the field of view sort of increases. Then we have like peripheral view also, and also like we have limitations like how much I can tilt my head up and tilt my head down, etc. So again, when you start designing for like AR experiences, you should understand all this human anatomy, etc. So it's very easy for you to uh, design or develop an experience which is very human, and also like which people like it. And the other technical thing like which you should start learning to, because we are all used to design for 2D surfaces like mobile and tablets. We know like what the breadth and width of the device is. We know like what pixel resolution it is like, and also like there is already a lot of standards which is being established around like Android's material design system, or Apple's iOS design guidelines, or even like Windows fluent design system. They have established everything like how much a button should be and things like that. But when it comes to AR, it's very dynamic. For example, if you are seeing a certain object at 2 meters, it sort of looks in a different size. And also, if you move the object to a longer distance, or as a user, you move closer to it or move further away from it, the size of the object also varies. And also, like as we seen earlier, like the field within the field of view, if you go like very far, it might go out of your field of view, or you might be able to see only like part of it, etc. So it's very very important to understand like sizing in the real world. Like start observing things around you, like for example, if you see a lamp and things, just pay a little bit attention, so you enable or inhibit this a sense of objects around you. Like we humans are very much spatial oriented. If you That's why we remember road maps. We are able to travel between our houses and offices, or like anywhere. Once we go through a certain to a certain location through a certain path, we remember that, because we humans are having that capability inherent by birth, for our survival. So that's how this sizing also helps in. So as a designer or a developer, we should start like enhancing this senses, so we are able to understand. If somebody says like if we are placing an object at 3 meters, like how will it look? If we say like 1.5 centimeter, 2 centimeter, we are all stuck to pixels so far. Since when we are like venturing into this 3D world, like the units will be in centimeters, millimeters, degrees, etc. So you should get used to like what does it really mean. It's not very hard. Initially, when I started, I used to put a sort of like a meter in my floor. So I understand like when I say 1 meter, like what is the actual distance. I was very bad with these metric units. So just like you can use this technology sort of like methods to enhance your capability of like understanding metric units. And also, for example, there is something x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. In the real world, if I move this object toward the right or left, or if I rotate it, like all the axis moves around. So like one way you can start understanding that, take a straw and then like put it into three color straw and put it into three different axes, and then keep an object and see like how the rotation is affected, how a movement is affecting its different coordinates, etc. So this is again, you have to spend some time in like sharpening your senses. And like in continuation with the sizes, like we saw like there are different types of input mechanisms to AR. For example, gesture, gaze based input, etc. So the sizes and things also like changes with these different types of input methods. We will not be able to design one for all the input methods. For example, this is one of the reference guide from the HoloLens team. If you see, they advise you to place like input elements like buttons and other things at 45 meters, sorry, 45 centimeters, if you are using hand gestures, because human has have a limitation of I can go only like till 45 meters in touch things in front of me like only 45 meters. But when you take like a gaze based interactions, like then they advise you to like keep things at least at 2 meters, because if it's like very closer, it will be like very irritating, and then I will have like convergence of my eyes and thing. The experience would be like very very bad. So it is necessary to understand like what type of input mechanism if you are using. If you see, it'll all be combining here. Like one, you need to understand the limitations of human body. Then you are understanding what is the different types of input methods you are using. Based upon that, you are playing with the screen sizes, button sizes, or the holographic element sizes also. So it is very that's why when I said like you have to understand like for what interaction method you are designing for, it would be helpful. And also like each experience will need different types of input methods. For example, if you are designing something to be used in a louder environment, then it's very hard to use voice as an input. If you want, if you are using developing an experience where it's meant to be used in a garage, like or in a lab, right? People's hand will be like already busy with either screwdrivers, bolts, or any other physical element which they are working in. Labs it may be like test tube, etc. So this AR itself is to enhance or like give you that extra ability, like increase your senses. So there we will not be able to use hand gestures, etc. So or controllers. So what we do is like we go with a simple eye gaze based mechanisms. So depending upon the experience you are developing for, this will change. So it's very important to understand the context of the experience you are building for. Next comes color. Um, so this was one of sort of uh, like biggest learning for me personally. Uh, uh, like for example, if you take black color, right? In like the digital devices, the black is nothing but when you turn off all the LED, that's how the black color is produced. But on the AR glasses, if you turn off all the lights, you see it as a transparent thing. You will not be able to experience black as a color in AR. So that is one of the limitations there. But on a mobile-based AR, you'll be able to see it because it's coming through a uh, non-opaque, non-transparent screen, right? Like if you turn off or like put your phone into like, turn off the screen of the phone, like all the pixels are turned off, and then you'll be able to see only like a black screen. Similarly, to produce white, all the LEDs are turned to a like full brightness, 255, 255, 255 brightness, then white color is produced. So now if you take like different shades of color, right? If just imagine how it will be on the real world. If the brightness is full, it will be like getting like too much of attention. If you keep it like a little bit dark, it might be become transparent and the contrast might be lost. And also in AR, the environment also affects your experiences. For example, if you are in a bright lit room, right? Then you will not be able to see things clearly because like already the external light is like affecting your experiences also. Similarly, if you are in a darker room, then even the darker color or light, like darker shades of color would look like bright to your eyes. So we should be like very careful. Again, context plays a very vital role in even like choosing the colors which you are designing for. Okay, so with that, we saw like why AR is important and why it makes sense to start designing experience or developing experiences AR in the current scenario. And then we saw like what are the things you should consider or you should prepare yourself before starting designing and developing for AR. Now, let me introduce like a few of the resources where you can go and see things. One is the AR Kit and AR Core. This is like two different AR engines built by Apple and Google. AR Kit is from Apple and AR Core is from Google. Like all your Android phones support AR Core, even like any platform supports both, but it was developed by Google and Apple respectively. So if you have like latest phones with Snapdragon, like at least like a year old or like 2 year old phone, you'll be able to install AR Core Essentials. Just go to AR Core site and then see like if your phone is compatible with it. You'll be able to start experiencing things. Like go to Google, if you put in like Tiger, and then there is something called like View in 3D, and then you'll be able to view in AR in your space. So those are the experiences which AR is currently being built for on the mobile phones. You, I'm sure like you'll be seeing a lot of these experiences built onto like e-commerce platforms in future, where they are taking advantage of augmented reality capabilities on your phone. And then if you are interested in like designing for the specific glasses or headsets, these are the three primary companies which have like the materials out. For example, like HoloLens have a detailed description of what each and everything is like different. How do you treat like each and every input mechanism? And also they have given like some design guidelines, etc. You can go to like HoloLens site or Nreal site or Magic Leap site. I have mentioned only these three products here, because those are the only three which have a sort of like a detailed uh, developer and design document out there. So to get started, this would be helpful. Once you get started, you'll automatically get into like other products also. There is something called Ultra Leap, which is primarily into hand gesture and hand thing. They also have like a good documentation of how to design hand gestures. And for developers to get started, currently like most of the people use Unity, and also like Unreal Engine also supports this. You might have heard about like both the things as gaming engines, but these are like again like there's a lot of similarities between like game development and AR development. It's more about stories and 3D objects, etc. So both these platforms support development for AR. So please do go and check. You'll be able to see examples like how things are done. Uh, you can get Unity is like sort of like a free version. You can go and install and then start using things. And also there are a lot of these example applications. Since though you might not have a glass, you can install these applications on Unity and then see it on your system itself. Though it's not the real one, but you'll be knowing like what controls are there, like how the controls are reacting, etc. So with that, okay, so this is the questions. We are doing this for Friends of Figma. I thought, why not try Figma for creating an AR prototype? So if you have your phone, you can scan this QR code. It will open the prototype, and then you'll be able to, if you click in like view in button, you'll be able to see the real time. You can bring this 3D mug to your place itself. So let me try opening my Figma. Okay, I'm not sure if you are able to see like you'll be able to see experience this application on your phone when you click view in your space button. It will, yeah, if you see like it's opening my AR core application, and then if I scan my surroundings, so I'll be able to place the mug in my table. So yeah, you can experience this on your phone. I'll tell you like how I did this prototype. So you can even try creating this prototype. And if you have any doubts, please do reach out to me. I will help you in creating this. For doing this, you have to let me stop sharing and then like reshare like on a different screen. So it's helpful. So what I've done here is I have created an artboard with normal mobile application design, and then I added a button, and then there is this website called Victory, and also there is a plugin for Figma also. If you see here, I have installed that Victory 3D plugin into my Figma. So you can create a new project. I have imported the 3D object. You can go and search in the library, and then you can add like whatever object you want. I have added this mug here. And to bring this mug into Figma, if you go to Vectory 3D plugin, you can go to my load. So it will ask you for the URL from the Vectory thing. You can go to viewer, and then if you click generate, it will give you a link here. If you see here, like there is a link. You can copy this link, and then bring it back to Figma, paste, and then give load model from Vectory. It will load you the mug. To include this image, like whatever, like the 3D view you want to like place it on your prototype, you can place it. For example, if I want to like place it a little bit like this, and then I give like save as an image, what it will do is like it will create this image here. So you can crop and then like place the image on top of here. So to enable this 3D view, again, go back to Vectory, and then you'll be able to like copy to clipboard, right? Open this in a new tab. So there is an option called AR on top. Like what I did is like I just got this URL and then went back to Figma, and then in my prototype, if you see here, I have pasted that link. So whenever you click this link on Figma, it will open the Vectory AR view. That's how it's sort of linked. So again, I haven't like explored it for very much. Just for like doing this sort of a quick prototype with Figma, I did it. I will explore it further. If I find like any more options, I will update it on the blog, and also I will put these steps on the blog also. So if you want, you can go and try your first AR prototype with Figma and then test it. So saying that, also I will share this presentation on the email which Kishore will be sending later. So with that, I guess I'm done. If you had any feedback about this session or if you have any questions, please do reach out to me. And also, if, like you can read in detail about the color input, human anatomy, and other things on my blog. Since we had like only 45 minutes or 1 hour, I plan to just give you an idea about things which where you have to go and get started. So yeah, all the best for getting started with AR. And if you have any questions, do feel free to reach out to me anytime. If you have any questions now, you can put it on chat. I will be happy to answer them. Okay. Kishore, I guess there are no
Yes,
questions.
so that actually I have a question. So like most other people, I'm also new to the AR, and I'm just quite amazed with the like your presentation and also like the live demo you showed. I just tried that the demo link you shared, and I just created that mug in my workplace. Actually, I just viewed through my phone. That was really amazing. So my question is like in designing, like in user experience design, we have lots of process for getting started. Like in UX, we have user research and lot of kind of practices. So in AR, like it's kind of a different medium. It's totally different. So do we have any like a mature process on how to test with the users or anything related to that?
So, since you brought that point of matured, I would say that there are no matured
Okay.
process so far. But I there are like a lot of methods which is being like even like when you take like
Mhm.
mobile or web, right? Like there is a lot
Yeah,
of methods available and based upon the
exactly.
need be taken. So few things which is very helpful in like doing a research or even like explaining or
Hmm.
brainstorming ideas, etc. Right? One
Yeah.
is storyboarding. So if you see here, like everything is a story. Like if, for example, even let's take this mobile mug
Hmm.
itself an example, right? Like what a user will do, like he will click on this button, then like he places it on top. Like how we will enable him to place it on his table. Like what you when you have opened this application, you might have seen that sort of like a
Yeah,
square which came in, which guided you to
exactly.
place the mug, etc. So it's more about like storyboarding of experiences. Like you have
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
enact, right? Since we don't have things, like what I used to do is like for example, I just imagine this
Hmm.
cube to be anything. Like it's a button. Like so I will say like, okay, this button is here. I'll
Yeah.
go and press it like this. Like you have to role play this. That's how I started learning. So for now, storyboarding role play would be like a better way to sort of like express your ideas to your
Hmm.
friends or colleagues, like or even your teammates. To research, one for sure you need the right like
Hmm.
the materials. You cannot, for example, in mobile, even if you give it to a user, they will be able to onboard to the prototype easily and then start
Yeah.
working on those applications because they have used similar
Hmm.
applications earlier in their phone. But since this being a new medium, even people are very new to it. Like even the onboarding sort of
Yeah,
takes some time.
it's.
Like just imagine
Mhm.
looking at somebody who is putting these glasses and then like waving their hands around in the public place, or like how do people look at it? So these are few of the constraints even Google
Yeah.
Glass had, right? Like when you are saying like you're always wearing a camera
Mhm.
in front of your eyes, then comes the question of privacy. Like, are you recording everything, like
Yeah.
wherever you are going, etc. So even with the explain, like for example, like can we represent it like by a sort of like a LED light or something? Like if you
Mhm.
are being recorded, like how the data is being processed, etc. So one like even if you're recruiting somebody
Mhm.
for research, it needs a lot of
Yeah.
onboarding for them. Like it's not like mobile or web. You can go to a website and then get few participants and then give them a prototype and then get their research. It will not work in the same way. Uh, One is like you have to be with them, you
Mhm.
have to work with them. Again, as I said earlier, people are exploring. Right, there will be like a lot of processes and methods coming in the future. But so far, there is no sort of like a matured way of things. All I know is like try it out, enact, storyboard, build prototypes. And again, one of the interesting thing here, right? You have to work with the developer. Developers and designers cannot be isolated and work on AR or
Okay.
VR project unless and until you see it on the screen on the glasses. Even as a designer, you don't know like how it will look. I can create beautiful pixels on like whatever tool I'm
Yeah.
using, like Figma,
Yeah.
Sketch, or anything, but it would be very very hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that role play is like kind of a different. I didn't expect that in a design related thing, because we have user personas and a lot of things, and the role play is practice in design is completely new to me. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, even I think like a lot of methods from service design, right, where we put in like people and then how they interact with it. All the service design sort of methods also will come
Mhm.
into play. Again, like it's not matured. Like people are borrowing
Yeah,
from different fields. Like that's how design as a field
yeah,
itself evolved. So for sure, things will be getting more and more matured in
yeah.
the upcoming years.
So we have a question from Nitin. So he's asking like any example which we can refer for AR from where we can understand how AR is implemented from start to end.
Okay, so if you have I'm not sure, Nitin, like if you have an Android phone or iPhone. So if you have a Android phone, there is something called AR Kit, AR Core app. Like if you install it, and also there is a demo app from the AR Core team itself, where you'll be able to see like what are the different interactions, like how do you place things, how sound effects, etc. So and also if you just search on the Play Store like AR apps, like there is something called AR Dragon. You can pet a dragon, like feed it, do everything in your home. And also if you go to Google and search tiger or like any animal, they have like 3D models of these animals. You can bring it to the real world and then see things. All this is for mobile based AR. Of course, for device based or head mounted AR, we have to have a device. But there is also like things like you might have seen Google Cardboard, right, for VR. There are like similar sort of cardboard devices for AR also, but it will not give you a real feel, but you will be able to understand like how things are in the well, it's very cheap. Like you will get it for like 1,000 rupees or 500 rupees. You have to put your phone, and then there are like multiple glasses which reflects the object on the phone, and then it will show you in the real world. It's not like up to the mark like the HMD devices, but to get started to experience, you can buy those devices. Since these HMD devices are very very costly, it's like in the enterprise grade at least for now. If you are fortunate, if your company can sponsor, I would let you to ask the company to get some of these devices so that everybody can experience in your office. Even if you are studying in a college, I think it's a right investment for college to do. So people are getting familiar with this new medium.
So that we have Matt Davis here. I believe Matt Davis is from Lenovo. He is working on AR for enterprise SaaS. So he have a question like, do you think AR will replace or coexist with our existing devices, that is wearables, phones, and televisions?
Yeah, of course, they will be. For example, even if you take how the ecosystem itself is evolving, right? Like there is a rumor that Apple is working on their own uh, AR glasses. Even Google has acquired few AR companies. They were like the first one to start with the Google glasses, But in the consumer level, if you see, we have smartwatches, we have phones, and also like even like working from home, this remote experiences, right? We need like multiple monitors, and even you have TV, right? For example, if you want to just play something, if you want to see the captions, right? All these are like my wild guesses, like how the ecosystem will be coming together. I'm not very sure. For example, if even if I take an AirPod or something, if I want to see the battery without even opening my phone or like my Mac or iPad, right? If there is a AR glass, if I show my AirPods to the glasses, can it show the battery which is remaining on my AirPods? That would be like, and also you might have seen this again a rumor product, something called Air Tags from Apple. You can put it to the keychains and other things. Just imagine if you want to look for your keychain, you lost it somewhere in your bedroom. If it can like just point an arrow on the real world, and then so this is where your key is, like bike key or car key is, if your wallet is there. I think that's how things will start like coexisting. That's what like ambient computing is about. I'm looking very much forward for that sort of experience in our living rooms.
So already I'm imagining like having an AR experience while watching movie and the subtitle appears just before my eyes. Like like subtitle watching the movie and syncing across syncing with the subtitles is really hard. Like you have to watch the movie and you have to watch down to read the subtitles. So I can imagine how like the experience will be watching the movie with AR glasses really.
Yeah, to be I think AR is just like, at least to me, I see AR as a display. There are a lot of other XR things, like for example spatial audio.
Mm-hmm.
There is like haptics. There is even people are working on your smell and taste, but also like to extended reality. I think all this different sort of like XRs comes together, and then they will cohesively create this ecosystem. For example, if you're watching a movie and then you are getting into a orange garden, like can we smell that those oranges? That's where I see this ecosystems going
Interesting.
in.
So, and having said that, I have one more question. Like, before the session, I was thinking like AR, like it's fairly new and it is like it is growing on day by day. But you mentioned that it's been here for quite a long time. So I can see like a lot of examples in the consumer segment for AR. Like you can the AR gaming, VR gaming related things. So, is there any like any enterprise applications for AR? Like, are there any companies using their AR applications in day-to-day process? Like,
Yeah, actually, if you go to like a HoloLens
hmm
2 site, right, there are different case studies being
okay,
listed there. One, I think Airbus or somebody is using it already. They have saved so much billions of
oh,
dollars on that. And also, it's been used in NASA for the Mars
course.
mission. For example, and also it's been used in
hmm
constructions also. There is a company called Trimble. They are mainly into construction
Okay.
and things. They use HoloLens for example, just imagine there is a building
hmm
being constructed, and you have to put the
hmm
electrical lines. Like normally, what people you might have seen this, like the electrician comes to the house
Mm.
and then he used to mark
Yeah.
everything in chalk pieces. Just imagine like now they have built an experience where you can put the glasses and then you can configure in the 3D
Oh.
CAD file itself. You'll be able to see the pipeline even without being it installed, like how the pipeline will be like. So just
hmm
take this model and then take it to AI. It will say like how much
Awesome.
materials you need, how many T joints you need, L bends
That's
you
awesome.
need,
That's awesome.
etc.
As you said, like I mentioned, like Airbus is into using AR, and I can imagine like if what if like for like many pilots I have seen they are using simulators to just they have to practice their to drive the flight. So
Yeah.
if they use AR, like it will be like more live experience for them.
I would say like that's where this immersion level
hmm
comes into play. For example, if you put a scale, AR
hmm
and VR has like complete
hmm Okay.
immersiveness. If you put a VR headset, you will feel as if you are in a
Awesome.
flight cockpit. But AR, it's about like bringing things
hmm
to the real world, right? It has its own limitations, like things. The immersion level is like comparatively low when you compare to VR. Like so simulation and other sort of things, VR has like a lot of more advantages. But when it comes to training, AR has this. For example, imagine there is a car
Mhm.
assembly factory. So it's more of a regular
Yeah.
routine job, right? So you have to tight the bolt here. You
Mm-hmm.
have to tight the bolt. So the error occurs because of carelessness. Just imagine putting the AR glasses. It says like tight the screw first. Once you're done, it automatically shows another point and say like tight the screw. Uh, put the chair like this or
Interesting.
seat like
Yeah.
this. The,
Already I'm imagining like a lot of applications for VR and AR, like actually, yeah. So yeah, I think like we have no more questions from the audience. Like if anyone have questions, do drop in the chat. And like as just I was going through the blogs written by Siddhartha has, yeah, I have a lot of resources in his blog. Or probably what I will be doing is like after the session I will create a newsletter, and I will be attaching this session recording along with the resources, links, and blogs related to AR and XR. I will be attaching all those links with the newsletter, and I'll be sending it to all. Yeah. So yeah, so thank you, Siddharth. Like it's been like a wonderful session. Like I have learned a lot of. So from the title, I was looking like something we are going to get started in designing straight away. But like it was like it was like more useful session. Like you just started from the scratch. Like what is AR, what is mixed reality, and what is XR, and all those stuffs. And you have also spoke about the human anatomy. So that was really interesting. Yeah, so we'll be so in future I wish to have a hands-on session in designing for AR actually. AR VR actually. We can plan for something
yeah,
in near future.
like if I want to like just compromise like whatever I spoke,
Hmm.
like designing as in is like very much similar to like what we are doing for like learning a tool and then operating it is like very very easy. Just to get this idea about and also to break away from the rectangular
Yeah.
mindset which we have, right? And start thinking in the 3Ds, what like very very important for a designer. So once we start like learning a tool or like things are like very very easier. And also since with the advancement of AI and ML, like creating a 3D model and things are like going to be like very very easy in the future. That's
Exactly.
what I would say. Yeah, yeah. Thank you everybody. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me. And also if you are interested in learning more, yeah, my DMs are always open,
So
and then you can reach out.
that's nice, Siddharth. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll be sending the newsletter shortly with all the resources and all the social media links of Siddharth. And so hope to see you in another good session. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Siddharth.
Thank you.